Hi, this is Jim Gibson. This is my vlog. And today's subject is who is my boss? Seems straightforward, doesn't it? Anyway, a little bit of background. I have an MBA, former Marine Corps officer. As I said in some other videos, I've learned more about management and leadership in the Marine Corps than I've ever learned in my MBA. MBA is good for teaching you how to fill out paperwork, but I learned more in the Marine Corps about those things. I've been in business, been in business 27 years, and I've been in IT, information technology, for 37 years. And I've always been in some sort of position, management position, leadership position for since I've been out of college. So it's even more than 37 years. But today's topic is, who is your boss? And this might seem like straightforward type of stuff. Everyone says, well, I know who my boss is. And, and he's the guy that signs my check, or he's the guy that tells me what to do each day and everything else. But I bet you're missing some subtleties here. So let's talk about it. Let me give you an example first. A little story that happened in my past. When I was in the Marine Corps, I had different units that I was in charge of, that I had to organize, that I had to motivate, that I had to make sure we accomplished the tasks that needed to be done. And one of the units was probably 100, 125 Marines in there, and I had a good-sized staff of probably 10 or 15 NCOs and staff NCOs. And I had this great guy that was a senior staff NCO, and he was a master gunnery sergeant, and that's about as high as you go in the Marine Corps. And he was in the Marine Corps for longer than I was alive at that time. He really knew his stuff. He really knew how to handle people, and he really knew how to get jobs done and everything else. And so what I would do is in the morning I would talk with my colonel about the projects of the week that had to be done. And then when I would get back to my unit, I would talk to my staff NCO, senior staff NCO, and he would take it from there and make sure that the work got done that week. And he did a great job. Really knew how to get things done through other people. And that's really what leadership is anyway, isn't it? It's getting things done through other people and causing them to want to follow you. But in this case, it showed me some things that was happening in my unit when he injured his back and he was out of the office for a considerable time. I think it was a couple weeks. And I had to do his job and my job. So the first day at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, all my staff NCOs were in my office. And again, there was probably 10 or 15. I don't remember how many, but it was years ago. It's not important how many. But when I had this meeting, I always had a book with me where I would write down exactly what my boss, the colonel, needed accomplished this week, this month, this year, whatever it was, the time frame, and the things that he needed done and the direction that he wanted my unit to go in, or he wanted me to go in. And I'd write them all down. And I had a little way that I would write it down to keep track of the progress in each job that he gave me. And so when I went down to the office there that day, and all the staff NCOs were there with me, and we're ready to discuss the projects of the day, well, I took my book and I looked at who would do what, and I distributed some of that information. Staff Sergeant, I need you to do this today, and this needs to be done. Very specific. I mean, you can't do general terms or else people get confused. So it was very specific about how I was going to accomplish the tasks that were assigned to me by the colonel. But I noticed something. I noticed no one was writing anything down. And so I knew I was going to have some issues that day. So I told each of the individuals that worked for me that they had deadlines that were set. Some had to be done by the end of the day, others had to be done by the end of the week. But I also told them that if they had any confusion or difficulties, or they could not accomplish that task by the end of the day, that they were to come back to me by about 1500, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were to talk to me about it, so I was not caught flat-footed, not knowing what was accomplished. And if not, there was going to be a meeting after we secured for the day, and that usually means after you have your end of day formation and the Marines go home. And then the staff NCOs and the NCOs would come in, and we would have that little discussion. And so at that discussion, at what was it, 16:30, 4:30, 5 o'clock time frame, I said, okay, let's discuss what we got done today. Did you do XYZ, Staff Sergeant? And he said, no, I really didn't get around to it. I ran out of time. I said, okay. Next, Staff Sergeant, did you do this? Gunny, did you do this in your section? Was this section taking care of their sergeant? And I noticed every single one of them, which I was expecting to get these answers, every single one of them said, nope, they didn't get to that job that I assigned for them today because they were trying to get other things done. And I kind of sat back and I kind of looked at them all and I said, I know you got a lot of good things done today, but you didn't get done the things that were important to me. You got done the things that were important to you. And therein lies the problem. They were all good accomplishments that were accomplished that day. They were just the wrong priorities. They were their priorities, not my priorities. As a CO, I'm the one that was supposed to set priorities for the unit. So I didn't get upset or anything. I just said, okay, well, I am going home, and you all are staying here until you accomplish the tasks that I talked about this morning. And of course, there was a concern across everyone's face. And one of them said, well, sir, my kid is going to football practice tonight. And someone else said, I'm celebrating my wife's birthday tonight. And I said, I don't care. I don't care. I gave you certain priorities and certain things that had to get done today. And you didn't get them done. But you did what you thought was important. You did your priorities. You didn't do my priorities. And I have things I have to get done for the colonel. So why don't you stay tonight and get them done? And someone else said to me, well, all the troops are gone. All the Marines are gone today. I worry to let them go. How can we get these accomplished? And I said, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You should have thought about that before you let them all, or actually, they worked hard all day today on the priorities that you've given them. But these weren't the priorities that needed to get done today. They were not my priorities as the boss. And of course, one of the senior enlisted came to, spoke up and said, sir, I think we understand what you're saying. Can you give us another try? And I said, okay, we'll give it another try tomorrow morning. However, be in my office before formation and make sure you have something to write down with. So the next day I repeated all the requirements and I noticed everyone wrote down everything I was saying. Then I said, okay, we're going to have another meeting today. At the end of the day, you're going to report back to me what you've accomplished. In the meantime, though, if you have any questions, come see me. But don't wait to the end of the day to tell me you didn't finish. And of course, at the end of the day, when we went around, everyone accomplished the goals. And this happens a lot in management, and I see it a lot. And sometimes I notice that bosses don't the person in charge, the boss or whatever, don't really see it. They just take the excuse and they say, oh yeah, he was really busy today with this, or he was really busy with that other thing, and he didn't quite get to my requirements today. But in reality, what is happening, and of course the employees are the same way. Wow, I really worked hard today and I've accomplished this or I accomplished that. But in reality, you need one person to decide the direction of the unit or the company or the organization. And that person needs to decide what's important for each individual, what that person needs to do to accomplish their goals so other people can accomplish the goals that are assigned to them. And we work as a unit. We work as an organization. And without that type of group where everyone is walking in the same direction, everyone is trying to accomplish the same goals, you're not going to get anywhere. because you go in all different directions. Everyone's doing what their own priority is. And if you ask them, well, you listening to your boss? Well, yes, I'm doing pretty much what would, help my boss. They're not. They're not doing anything that will help their boss. They're just doing what they think's important. And in that way, you don't get anything done. And I know that all those staff NCOs and NCOs that worked for me that day, when they did not accomplish my goals, they were all doing, they were all working hard, but they were working on their priority. So the first thing you got to realize is, who is your boss? Or if you're the boss, are your employees really working for you? Or are they doing what they think's important? The other thing is, as an employee, your job is to make your boss look good. Your job is to make your boss successful. It's not just to do the things that you think are important. It's to do the things that your boss thinks are important. I'll give you an example. When I worked in a big corporation, Burlington Air Express, and I applied for a job opening, my boss left. There was, a vacancy above me, and I applied for a job opening, and I got turned down. The big boss, the VP of IT, picked someone else, and which, I didn't like. But I remember her first day, I walked into her office, and I told her, I said, my job is to make you successful, and I will do everything I possibly can to make you successful. Even though inside I thought I was the better candidate, and we all think that, by the way. That's pretty normal. But I also realized from working in the Marine Corps and seeing some examples that I just explained to you, how that can really cause difficulties if I do what I want to do and I do what I think's important rather than doing what my boss thinks is important. So I remember telling her that. I said, I realized that I applied for this job and you got picked, and I would prefer being at the other side of the desk. But I am also an adult, and I've also been around for a while. And my job, and I know my job, is to make you, as the person in charge, as my boss, as my superior, that my job is to make you successful and not necessarily do what I think is right. Now, just a little discussion about who's the boss, and I hope you enjoyed it, and take it for what it's worth. Think through. If you're an employee and you have a boss, and we all have bosses, you know that? Are you really supporting your boss? Are you really doing what the job requires? One last anecdote here. I remember once that I got a call from a supplier, and a big corporation, and the supplier's rep said to me, your boss would like you to do XYZ. I was kind of curious about that. I said, well, who's my boss? And they said, yeah, the president of this manufacturing company that provides you parts. And I said, no, you got the shoe on the wrong foot. You see, he works for me. I'm the person that buys his product. My boss is my customers. So when my customers tell me to do something a certain way, or what they want done, or their timing, then I do it the way they want it done. I don't do it the way I want it done. Sometimes when I'm putting cables behind walls or something, I think it's the best place to put a cable in a certain area. But my customer says they don't want it there. They want it somewhere else. Well, you know something? They have the right to tell me where to put that cable or where to put that jack. As long as I have agreed to work for that person, I'm going to do it their way. But in this case, talking about the supplier got the shoe on the wrong foot. I don't work for the supplier. I work for the customer. And not that I want to be rude to any of my vendors, but my vendors work for my company, and my company works for my customers. Again, this is Jim Gibson, and this is my vlog. Thank you for watching. Hi, this is Jim with CableSupply.com. Hi, this is Jim from CableSupply.com. Hi, this is Jim with CableSupply.com, and today I'm going to show you how to cut a hole in the drywall.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this YouTube installment of CableSupply.com.